The village was old, steeped in history and mystery. Ancient stone houses huddled together, their walls whispering secrets of the past. Cobblestone streets snaked through them like forgotten rivers, winding and twisting. Above it all, on a hill, stood a lone house, watching over the village. This was Cameron's inheritance, his grandmother's home, a place filled with memories. Villagers spoke of it in hushed tones, their voices tinged with fear and reverence.
They say a shadow lives there, lurking in the corners.
A thing of darkness and whispers, a presence that chills the soul.
Cameron arrived on a day choked with fog, the village barely visible. The air hung heavy, pregnant with unspoken dread, as if the village itself was holding its breath. He dismissed the villagers' tales as superstition, mere stories to scare children. His grandmother had been kind, her home warm and inviting, a sanctuary from the world. He felt no fear, only sadness at her passing, a deep sense of loss. The house stood silent, shrouded in mist, a ghostly sentinel. A shiver ran down his spine, an involuntary reaction to the eerie atmosphere. The stories suddenly felt real, the weight of the village's whispers pressing down on him. The first night was the longest, stretching into an eternity. Wind howled outside, clawing at the windows as if trying to break in. Cameron tried to read, but the words swam before his eyes, refusing to make sense. He felt a presence, an unseen watcher lurking in the shadows, making his skin crawl.
"It's just the wind, just my imagination," he whispered, trying to convince himself.
Sleep came in fits and starts, a restless dance of exhaustion and fear. Each time he closed his eyes, he saw a dark figure looming closer. It stood at the foot of his bed, its eyes burning into him, unblinking and relentless. He woke with a gasp, his heart pounding against his ribs, drenched in cold sweat. He was alone. The room was empty, but the feeling of dread remained, lingering like a shadow. Then it happened. The shadow emerged from the darkness. It took form slowly, solidifying from the gloom. It was vaguely humanoid, but its edges wavered like smoke. It had no face, only a void where its eyes should be.
"You cannot hide. I know your sins."
Cameron stumbled back, fear a cold fist around his heart. He had never believed the stories. Now he was living them. The shadow advanced, creeping ever closer, its presence suffocating the air around him. Its voice echoed around him, listing every wrong he had ever done, every sin he had tried to forget. Forgotten lies, careless words, moments of selfishness. Shame washed over him, drowning him in a sea of regret. He had tried to bury these memories, but the shadow had unearthed them, bringing them to light with a cruel clarity. He turned and ran, fleeing through the house, his heart pounding in his chest like a drum. Doors slammed shut before him, windows refused to open. He was trapped, a prisoner of his own making.
"No, no, this can't be happening," he screamed, his voice echoing in the empty halls.
As the shadow cornered him, he saw a glimmer of hope, a faint light in the darkness. A small prayer picture clutched in his grandmother's favorite book, a relic of a simpler time. He held it up, a desperate shield against the encroaching darkness, hoping it would save him. The shadow recoiled, its form flickering as if the light from the picture was burning it. It let out a wail of rage and frustration, then silence, a deafening quiet that filled the room. The picture fluttered to the ground, its edges curling as it landed softly. Cameron lay there, trembling, until dawn broke, the first light of day chasing away the shadows. When the villagers arrived, he was gone, vanished without a trace. The house stood empty, the shadow's presence still clinging to its walls, a silent witness to the night's events.
They say he was claimed by the shadows, dragged down by the weight of his past, never to be seen again.
And sometimes, on the wind, you can still hear his screams, a haunting reminder of the night of reckoning.